Aman, YouTube live streaming.
Let's start.
Can we start?
Yeah.
Aman? Malu, start.
Okay. Good evening and welcome. I'm Malu Natarajan, Chairperson, Flow Mumbai Chapter. How often do we get to speak to a member of
live streaming?
We are in luck to have one with us, our very own Neeta Lulla. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that I would be introducing a fashions arena. I am the type who would go into Marks and Spencer's. I love the men's section. I pick up t-shirts in different colors and head home. But my friends in Flow have been trying to change my perception. Neeta belies her 3-decade-long journey from a single karigar and a second-hand Usha sewing machine that she bought for 500 rupees selling sandwiches to 80 machines, 72 karigars, 200 embroiders today. Her first brush with fashion was the magazine 17 that her father got her twice a year. Hail is the queen of fashion from minimalism to opulence. When it comes to South Asian fashion, Neeta Lulla is an icon. In different shades and hues of color, she fires up a canvas, creating waves across runways and the big screen world of cinema. With over 350 films to her credit and having worked for 34 years, she believes that when it comes to creativity, you do not think out of the box because you do not have a box. An unprecedented originator, Neeta Lulla has given contemporary touch to heritage textiles like Kanchivaram, Banarasi, Kalamkari, reviving weaving and embroidery and creating romantic looks in her ensemble with Edwardian cuts and Renaissance colors. She received the Best Fashion Film Award for her bridal campaign from the London Fashion Film Festival and the coveted proclamation from the mayor of Austin, USA, naming 16th August as Neeta Lulla Day. That is quite an achievement, Neeta. As the costumer for films, she is the only designer in the country to have been the recipient of 4 national awards for best costume designs. A few days ago, she was invited by the Academy of Motion Pictures of Arts and Science as the member of the jury for Oscar Awards. A mother, a grandmother, a wife, and an intense multitasker, she believes the life is all about learning and experimenting with age being no bar. For all of us, this pandemic has awakened reflection and provided an opportunity to do things differently, relate more compassionately and kindly to one another and to oneself. Indeed, as the world turns slowly and cautiously towards reopening, it's time for those in the fashion industry to do soul searching, to challenge themselves and commit to some rethinking about these fundamental questions. I'm sure Neeta is going to address all these for us. Welcome, Neeta. It's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Malu. That was quite an introduction. I'm suddenly nervous.
Oh, you're not. It's just the tip of the iceberg, Neeta. I had lots more, but I had to cut it off. Who knows,
thank you so much. Hi, friends. And I'm really happy to be part of this talk. And Malu's been doing some amazing work with all the kind of liaisons she's had with the other speakers who've spoken. Especially yesterday was also fantastic. And it even made me more nervous after that. I said, am I going to match up? Or is it going to be as informative and entertaining as yesterday? But yes, we shall try that. And we've got Siddharth, my son, who's there as well. My son Siddharth and Nishka have been my most intense critics. So one of them is on board right now.
Yes. Thank you, Neeta. Who knows Neeta better than her son, Siddharth Lulla? Thanks for moderating the session, Siddharth. And you know what we went through, but anyway, really appreciate you taking it up. Siddharth is a passionate entrepreneur with several years of business building and consulting experience in the retail and fashion industry. Having completed his MBA, Siddharth has been instrumental in leading business diversification of Neeta's brand Pan India. Currently, he's also working with Intellicap as a consultant. Thank you both, and over to Siddharth. Looking forward to a mother and son in conversation about design and lifestyle, a change in perception. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Malu. It's a pleasure to connect with anyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity. For me, this is quite a surreal experience because, while we've been in a couple of talks and we've done, talks separately, this is the first time we actually, doing a one-on-one interview with each other. And I also feel that, some of the questions are such that I feel that he's sitting in one of our board meetings. So, I think it's going to be a great experience. So before I start with the questions, I just want to share that, working with my mom and, seeing her entire journey, she's been one of the most inspirational people I've ever seen in my life. And, to the extent that, there are certain things where, and this is largely for a lot of entrepreneurs out there. I think her level of persistence is something which is very rare. I've seen her start off her business, 3 times, from scratch. First being, with the Usha machine that you mentioned, for 5 rupees in the balcony of a house. Second time we started literally from a 200 square feet garage, and then we built it up to the other extent. And third time again, when we were going through certain issues on the business front, she revamped her direction. Focused also on retail and not movies, and we focused on diversifying the entire business. So I'm very glad to be in this conversation with her, and I think that at least from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I'm going to try doing my best to see that some of the learnings or the achievements that she's had are presented correctly. Great. So just to start off, and on a lighter note, would love to understand, ma'am, how have you been spending your time as a creative entrepreneur in this entire pandemic?
So I think with the pandemic, a lot of us have become lesser entrepreneurs and more creative people. Whether it is sitting at home cooking and coming up with amazing dishes. And you know what, for me as well, it's the same thing. We've gone from entrepreneurship into creativeness. So be it, I started to learn cooking because after a very long time I was cooking and all these interesting dishes, and I started creating, mixing and matching dishes that I had learned. And then there was always a thing that I was very technologically challenged. So I didn't know how to use the social media correctly and what it entailed. So I started studying social media. And I had started painting back in 2007, and I stopped after for a bit. So to restart painting, I started taking classes on painting on the YouTube, and started building my own kind of ideology on what I wanted to paint and the kind of style I wanted to get into. And apart from that, went through a lot of old fashion shows and recent shows to understand the consumer psychology. So I've been cutting basically 18 hours a day. And not to forget, ladies, it's very important. What really keeps you fit is what keeps your sanity going is your fitness as well. So yes, I have been working out as well in my own way. Be it a basic high intensity workout or even dancing, salsa dancing for that matter of fact. So yes, I've been using at least 18 hours of the day, and I'm happy I could do that.
Yeah, and on a lighter note, I think for the first time in the last 20 years, I've seen her go to the kitchen so often, and I think my increase in weight is a testament to that. So over the last 2 decades, we've seen a lot of ups and downs in the fashion industry. But this is really the first time we are seeing something which, has the potential to shut a lot of brands, shut a lot of businesses. At the same time, gives opportunities to a lot of entrepreneurs to build a specific new business if they can, understand what the consumer really wants post-COVID. So, from your thought process, what do you see is the impact of COVID on the fashion industry, and how will it change the way people, dress, or the way, people approach their businesses?
So I feel that every major catastrophe, whether it has been a revolution or whether it has been a pandemic or a war in history, has always brought about a change on every aspect of lifestyle. And even dressing for that matter of fact. During World War II, I think pre-World War, there was a lot of crinolines and extravagant gowns that were worn by women with very big hairstyles. Post-World War, everything went, and we came up with linear lines and tubular dresses. Menswear transcended into women's wear, so you saw a lot of masculine silhouettes that came in during World War II. So I guess, with the pandemic coming back to us right now, I feel there is going to be one such evolution that might come out of it. And right now what we see is that people are going with wearability, which is edging towards more comfort and ease because you're sitting in the confines of your home. People are shopping for what they want to wear rather than what they would like to have in their wardrobes. And because most of them are even in lockdown, so digital medium is where they are buying clothes from. And I see athleisure and loungewear becoming a huge aspect of our wardrobes, and it's becoming a huge trend. We also see, popular brands that we look up to, like Dior, international brands like Dior and Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, and McQueen, YSL, all of them shifting from couture predominantly at this point in time into making masks, overalls, sanitizers, and all items that are very essential to protect your health. I think new advents will happen, but it's too early right now to say in which direction we are headed, but we are just going with the flow. And I think designers are taking time to understand and absorb what's going on around them, collecting references of what everybody is talking about. And I think that will determine the change very soon.
So that's interesting. Also, I think that's a fair point that, when it comes to, let's say, premium brands, we would see a lot of product lines coming in the athleisure and comfort wear. But when it comes to, let's say, high-end couture brands, which have a specific clientele who wants to buy products for a specific sort of an occasion, how do you see some of these brands, reinvent themselves, on a more specific business front in a post-COVID scenario?
So I think as the world is adapting to the new normal, while reminiscing on the past, there will be a unique representation of our future for some time now. Every challenge now is a shift into a potential of a new creative paradigm. And on every aspect of design and even lifestyle for that matter of fact, I feel comfort, ease, wearability is going to be the new focus. Focus on craft, weaves, and art on garments, which are our heritage, is definitely going to be on the forefront of design and need for that matter of fact, I think. Made in India is going to be the core strength of all design inventions. And I feel that this creative aspect is basically the DNA of our design, and we are going to delve in it. Reusability is going to be a huge key factor and a key word, along with price sensitivity and responsible buying, I feel. So fashion will lean towards more of a classic attire or multi-purpose use is what people are going to look at. Brands are going to understand their knowing. They will unknow what they know and learn again. So there is going to be a shift, a very gradual shift for that matter of fact. And the positive aspect is that it is going to be an exciting avenue with a new dimension of design. And that is, for me as a designer, I've always been on the positive aspect of, everything I look at a positive side. And I think this is what's going to be quite challenging and encouraging, that we're going to look at a very new aspect.
Got it. I'm sure, and there's a lot of, people in the chat who, know the kind of work that you do and who've seen the kind of work that you do. So, more specifically, let's say from Neeta or brand perspective, do you see any shift in the kind of product lines that are coming up, or any specific, ethos changes? And also, if you could, let's say talk about, let's say, let's say 10 years back or 5 years back, if there was something that you got in as a product line which you felt was relevant to that time, and moving forward, any course correction, any direction that you think as a brand Neeta would take?
So as a brand, we got into lifestyle products. We tied up with Portico to start off on a line of home furnishing. And we also got into a specific line of using fabrics, sustainable fabrics, like, particular, at that point in time, plant-based fabrics were coming in very, very slowly. So using some of those fabrics as and when we got our hands on. So I was delving into that. And as a designer for bridal wear, it's always been my need and aspiration to be able to create a garment for a bride who can use the garment in various different ways. It is a basic coordinate that they can use instead of just using it one time and keeping it in the cupboard. Well, there are many people who don't like to use their garments again, especially if it's a bridal, but there are some who want that value for money. And I feel that brand Neeta Lulla started as a bridal wear brand and transcended into one of the leading brands in the country with this key factor that, as a rule, I used to, or as an incentive to the bride, I have always discussed with them that how you can wear your garments differently. Coming now to the COVID scenario, for a month or 2 months, I just kind of blanked out on everything. I decided not to get into understanding what I wanted to do because we needed to see the way forward. And slowly and gradually, as things started opening up and the lockdown started getting slightly eased off, and we were able to get in some of our laborers, I took a break even before that, 10 to 15 days before that, to organize myself, to understand what I would want to do and the kind of clothes I wanted to make. I think this change of perception in this case is about not fighting with the old and understanding what you made earlier and wanting to make the same now. But it is about building on that knowledge to create a new normal. And we're all talking about the new normal. I feel the history of what we made earlier will transcend into what we need and to a need-based requirement that is going to be what we can use. Understanding the generation gap, understanding what previously people wanted, and today what the new generation is looking for in terms of their attire, considering that they've gone through a traumatic time, and what are they going to come up with and what is their need. So transcending into that kind of design, acceptance of a change in your outlook, we have to be open to, looking around you and understanding what people are doing and using that as an inspiration to move forward. And a lot is going to be about connecting with the consumer. Therefore, if you are a brand, leaving or transcending into bespoke, where you can connect with them, where you can understand the need and translate that into their garments. And I feel fast fashion is going to turn into more sustainable. And that's exactly what we are doing. We are looking at working on collections where you have one element of a garment that is going to be a sustainable outfit. When I talk about sustainable in this aspect, I'm talking about reusable. Therefore, if it's a top and pants, is that top going to be reused as a sari blouse, or is it going to be used as a top which you can wear over a shalwar? And we're also trying with our Instagram posts and what we're doing, we're trying to educate our buyers and our family, or the Neeta Lulla, House of Neeta Lulla family of buyers, to how they can wear their garments. So we've been doing a lot of this, and I'm hoping that this is a step in the right direction.
Got it. And so for a lot of fashion entrepreneurs out there, any specific one or two things that you're doing on, let's say, the retail front, second on the manufacturing front, and third in terms of, let's say, from a sales channel on the digitization or online front.
So on the retail front, we do see that the trend is moving towards athleisure and a lot of need-based requirements. Therefore, we are making a kind of a collection which is more on that aspect. And I think that is the need of the hour, to go with the flow of things and to understand what the requirement is. And apart from that, we are trying to slow down the speed of our collections. We are trying to come back to a collection that's required right now, right here. And as far as digitization is concerned, I think we are definitely moving in a way where digital is the way forward. Therefore, when I'm talking about digitization, for all the fashion aspirants out there and the young entrepreneurs, I think it is very important to get into a digital medium of sorts, where when you're studying fashion, you have to learn things like digital illustration, digital merchandising, digital fabric printing, concepts, sustainable fabric, fiber content, and a lot of things that will help you sitting in the confines of your home and still creating a vocation for yourself. For that matter of fact, digital pattern making, which is actually the need of the hour, considering that a lot of migrant laborers and tailors have all gone back to their villages and cities and towns, and we do need that. So why don't we come up with a whole new revolution of ideas and thoughts in terms of educating ourselves? As a brand, I think when we talk about digitization, yes, we have worked on online, and I, for the first time, have realized the need for an online store. Of course, Siddharth has always told me this, that we have to go online, and we've been the first brand to come up with an online portal, thanks to Siddharth. But I think to ensure a great look and feel for the online is a need of the hour. I feel that good quality imaging on the online store will excite the consumer to look more at your designs and will inspire them to see the quality of product that you are coming up with. I think good quality images are the prima facie of this, and the right production, the right need based is what we need to bring out there onto the online store. Even if it means, like, if you have an ensemble that is costing you say 30,000, but if you put the top separately, the skirt separately, and the dupatta separately, there are ways and means that people would want to buy that. So breaking down, integrating a core design strength into different design aspects and bringing that out there for the consumer who needs that. And price points. Therefore, I think integrating would bring price points down to great deal. But price sensitivity is going to be a very important aspect on your digital medium. And knowing what are the price points that you need to entice a consumer to be able to come online and buy your products. I think most importantly, keeping in touch with the consumer through various mediums of social media, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, be it however you can, even be it simple newsletters to your core consumers, explaining to them what you're coming up with and understanding what their need is, because today you need to understand what your consumer wants. Their mindsets are moving in various directions, and you can't be moving in various directions, but you have to be that captain who can tell the consumer that, okay, this is what we are doing and this is how it's going to help you. And understanding the need and catering to that and educating them to what you're doing.
Got it. Thanks. I think that's very comprehensive. And just to add to what you're saying, I'd like to say that when it comes to digitization, as a brand, we realize that the online store is going to be one of the main channels for sales and as well as client outreach over the next decade, or for the future of the brand itself. And hence, we have already integrated that with the product lines that we have in our store. At the same time, we also realize that the kind of products that a consumer buys when they come into your store with specific price points will not really do well online. So we're looking at a two-pronged strategy really. One is looking at a diffusion range which could move well online. At the same time, also facilitating a lot of client inquiries and client orders, which would be catered to by a back-end team which receives those inquiries. And also when it comes from a user interface experience perspective, is also very crucial that the look and feel that any digital medium that we use, either for marketing, if it's social media, Instagram, Facebook, or if it's any online platform also which we are using, the look and feel and the entire interface has to be aligned with the kind of interiors that our store has, so that entire experience that the client has is very seamless. So the client's journey really starts from the minute they look at the catalog online, and then they come to our store and with the kind of experience that we have with different clients. The other thing also that we're working on very strongly is with partnerships with a different set of stores across the world. At the same time, certain multi-branded online stores wherein the reach really increases, because we do realize that given this COVID scenario, high-end retail sales would take time for to get normal, because people will take some time to come to stores and start trying clothes, and hence we have to factor that in mind while we're moving forward on the business front. Great. So on another note, we've seen that, and you actually did mention this earlier, that globally we're seeing brands like Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Gucci having significant sales in China as soon as the lockdown opened up. And in India also, at least from people that I've, spoken to, realized that brands like Dior have had significant sales. So, what's your take on the luxury market? How do you see the scenario for that, play out in India over the next 1 year?
So I've been reading up a lot about this, and of course, we've had a lot of discussions on television also happening about these aspects. A lot of people are calling this revenge buying, and for my own personal take on this is I would like to read to you a specific quote of Sri Gaur Gopal Das for this. He says that we as Indians are very sparing. So when we have a T-shirt that we really love and we own it, we can't wear it anymore. If there's a small little hole in it, we wear it in the night. And if you're fed up of wearing it in the night and that tear becomes bigger, then we try to wear it for Holi. And even if that is not possible, then we use it for puja in the house. So I guess the sparing attitude that we as Indians have, somewhere along the line, I feel that this is a general consumer take for now, because everybody is talking about the way forward, being very financially secure for these times, understanding what is the need of the hour and only spending need-based. A lot of discussions on economic forums are happening about this on television, off television, on Zoom talks, where everyone's talking about cash is king. So just hold on to your cash. And I feel that when we're talking about revenge buying as Indians, I think first what we're going to look at is, instead of buying a bag for 1 lakh, we would probably look at saving that money or keeping it in FD for some time to understand where we are headed, and then we as Indians emerge stronger and we forget the past and move on, because we don't want to remain in that negative aspect. We want to move towards a more positive and a happy scenario. Therefore, what is going to transcend later and how the buying pattern is going to go is not sure, but definitely I feel that revenge buying, right now, I don't see that that's going to happen.
Got it. Yeah, and maybe, essentially when it comes to, wedding, segments like ours, but, it's been interesting that we're seeing a lot of different, weddings coming up where, women are wearing masks which are matching their outfits. So, have you got any, wedding projects like that as of now, and what's your perception on that?
People have been scouting for their wedding outfits. People have been talking. Like I said, we must reach out to the consumers. So we have reached out to our consumers who have inquired. But all the weddings now are happening in November. So there are a lot of queries for November based, and people are looking at price sensitive price points, and they are looking at what we can do for them. So we are going that extra edge by talking to them about their needs and how we can translate that into a different concept and coordinate that is more wearable. And yes, there have been a few weddings now as well, but numbers have changed. Like earlier, if the number was about 3,000 attending a wedding, today it's only 250. And just last week, we had a client who suddenly realized that she can't even have 250 people at her wedding. She can only have 50 people. So those numbers have come down. But in terms of the price points, yes, people are coming down on the price points, but thank God for Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere where you post pictures, people want to have a beautiful outfit which they can wear, and they can have the pictures that are for posterity.
Got it. And the other issue that at least the industry is facing, and I'm sure that a lot of other businesses plus a lot of entrepreneurs, even on this chat are facing, is that we've seen a lot of our workers, migrant workers, going back to their villages. We're seeing a lot of layoffs happening. So how does a brand or how does any business deal with this ethically? What is it that a brand needs to do that in terms of adopting to this change? And secondly, how do you deal with this in a very ethical manner?
So here's the thing: as far as migrant laborers are concerned, a lot of them have gone back. So it has created a backlog for a lot of us. But thank God to the fact that we were going one season ahead and making garments that would be used in the next collection. So um, we have inventory that can be used as of now, and they are fresh inventory because of a 3-month kind of a gap. However, coming back to the laborers, we have very few people who are coming in from our city, coming to work. And as a brand, this is a challenge that all of us are facing, where um, the capacity has come down, and there are government norms where you cannot have more than a particular number in your workshop. So not more than 5 to 6 people in that workshop. So as a brand, as an entrepreneur, the best thing to do is that when we had people, you have different variety and quality of people. So you ensure that you take in the best people that you had who are available to you. Be sensitive to their requirement of pricing, but work with them on efficacy. The fact that they should be able to efficiently manufacture things for you. But here it is a question of being there, being hands-on, and guiding them and understanding what the backlog is so that we can improve the efficacy of production. And it's very easy to say we all face a lot of issues, which when you are on floor, you realize. And how to combat that comes vis-a-vis the way you run your brand, the way you handle your brand. But the fact is that you have to be sensitive to, what is the needs of your workers, and the workers need to be sensitive to what you need. Therefore, an interaction with them to make them understand, showing them the way forward in a more organized, skill-based aspect would do the magic.
Got it. So these challenges are real. And also what I'd like to add is that, at least as a brand and, most businesses, we've seen that earlier when we've worked in a very centralized format where we have, 2 or 3 of these, large units, which are, let's say, either manufacturing or doing, let's say, handwork or embroideries. And I'm sure that this is something which a lot of other businesses also have been operating. But at least in our specific business, and, because the kind of work that we do is so labor intensive and relies so much on labor, we also see, some of these aspects getting decentralized, wherein, we do realize that it is important for us to identify clusters, which you already started working on, wherein we can outsource our embroidery to specific clusters in different parts of the country where migrants actually stay, so that, they can actually work, from their areas in specific clusters, and also provide them with, some sort of skill training exercises, which is a norm which is being followed by, some of the global brands also, wherein they outsource their work to places like India. And we also realize that for brands in India, we do see that there will be some element of cluster development happening, wherein instead of doing a lot of work in, let's say, Bombay or in the outskirts, we may have to start moving, some of the production to different parts of the country, whether it's, let's say, Jaipur or Calcutta and Delhi. And this entire situation does call for a rethink in the way, operations as a business is done moving forward. So another, buzzword that we are hearing, very often is sustainability. And, the last 5 years is something which has really caught on. So are Indian brands really taking a step towards sustainability, or is this, just a term which is being used for marketing?
So from a very basic front, I would like to say, for me as a designer, sustainability stems from reusability. So the way you can reuse your garments, the way you can make an outfit that is a classic that can be reused, whether it's a simple shirt or a jacket or a top or a blouse, whatever. But being able to use it differently and having the know-how to coordinate it to create a style statement of your own is the kind of aspect of sustainability for us in the fashion background. However, coming to sustainability, you are the sustainability pro because you're working with a company that deals with this. So I think this question should go to you.
Thanks for putting me in the spot. But yeah, I would just say that, certain elements that, for example, which are crucial, is that one is the kind of fabrics that are being used. Earlier all of us used to use polyester plastic-based fabrics, but we are moving towards more vegan or natural, fabrics. Second is also, sustainability is not just a word when it comes to a specific aspect. It's an entire business value chain. So looking at the kind of fabrics one is using, looking at the quality of dyes that they're non-polluting in nature, looking at trying to use recyclable products or reusing specific products, and most importantly also plastic packaging. So today India produces around 20,000 tons of plastic waste on a daily basis. 60% of which is really packaging waste, and even using recycled plastic for manufacturing poly bags or plastic bags, or using materials that can be recycled is something that as a brand we are considering for the next decade in terms of how we reinvent ourselves to have an element of sustainability as part of our core ethos. So Green, I think we've had a lot of business related questions, and I think it's been quite interesting. But would love to get your thoughts in terms of you said that you're doing so many different things. You're doing art, you're doing food, even on the business front. There are multiple things that you always involve yourself in. So how do you manage your time? How do you manage to stay efficient? What are some of the key best practices that you would advise people?
Most importantly, organizing yourself is the key factor, is the key word. Whatever you do, give yourself 10 minutes in the morning and mentally note down or note it on a piece of paper as to what all you have to do in the day. Even if it is something as silly as I need to pick out a shirt because I have to go somewhere. So even that needs to be put in. Every aspect of your life, I need to work out, put it in, because when it's there mentally in your mind, and you will start putting in things, and you will start departmentalizing this and creating time for each and every aspect of yours to finish it. I think that's the most important aspect. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a workaholic. So for me, 18 hours a day, I hope there was 48 hours in a day. So time is always less. But yeah, this is something that I do. I just organize myself, and I multitask. So if you have the capacity to multitask, I think you should just go for it. And I think as women, and this is solely for women, we have the capability of multitasking. Let's do it and enjoy your work. And and go with the flow, most importantly. And that's what's going to take you where you want to go.
Got it. And, just to put you on the spot, you've been doing a lot of these affirmations in the morning now of late. So how do these affirmations really work?
Oh, I love affirmations. They put me in a great positive attitude. I listen to affirmations at least for 20 to 30 minutes. And I know he gets bored. He says, I'm having breakfast and you're having affirmations for breakfast. And I think that just kickstarts the day. And why not? Whatever makes you happy in the morning to kickstart your day is something that you should just take on as your daily dosage.
Got it. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but I have affirmations in the morning, which I do at 6:30, which I repeat regularly, although it's not very publicly like the way you do it. So what's your advice to a lot of young entrepreneurs who've been seriously hit by this pandemic? Because maybe some of the larger brands would survive, but for a lot of smaller brands, it's going to be tough. So what's your advice for them?
It's a fact that for some businesses, it is going to be a question of survival. And it is a very difficult spot you are in, and it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen. So this is the time to pare back and learn to adopt to different needs, to understand, adapt to what you're hearing. Keep an open mind, hang in there. It is going to be an opportunity to understand the consumer and emerge basically very strong later on. I think what's going to be, in essence, is going to be the emergence of slow fashion, which means the collection will have to be made and planned for a capsule which is aimed at the current situation and the current need, and not for your next collection, not for the festive season that's coming. And classics are going to be a way forward. So just kind of work on classics, simple silhouettes, elegant looks that you can wear to a very compartmentalized group of an event that you're going for. Like earlier, you used to go for an event which was 80 people. Today, you're going for a very close-knit friend circle for lunch or in-house dinner or something where you're meeting only 4 to 6 people. So the look should be apt for that, and it should be a reusable look. So there are so many avenues that will open up. Maybe you need to cut out all the frills and flounces that you made, and work on more value for money advents that can be put into your wardrobe. You have to definitely adhere to consumer sensibilities and responsible buying, which is going to be the core essence of every consumer now. So rework logistics, try to focus on economy of scale, lesser designs, but more products, where it will bring the cost of production down. So it is definitely going to give you a brighter way forward and an avenue to be able to create styles that will be more saleable.
Very interesting. Would love to know who's your role model really, or, it could be a business leader or it could be someone in life. And let's say 3 things that you learned from that person that you feel are, something that you'd like to share with everyone.
My role model has been Frida Kahlo for the longest time. And I must have watched the movie Frida at least 12 to 13 times. The 3 words, the key words that I have learned from her is commitment, perseverance, and dedication to the work that she did despite all her issues and shortfalls and every problem that she had in life. She still stood strong. She still held on to what she needed to do, whatever the scenario is. When we speak about films, no matter what the problem is behind with your personal life, the show must go on. And I think on every aspect of your life, the show must go on. You need to learn when you are in the now of situations to disconnect from your issues and go ahead and work on what you're doing in the now. And that is a very important aspect.
Great. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to speak to you, in a very formal sort of a setting.
Lulla, thank you so much. You come home.
Great. So I'd like to, ask Malu to take this further now. I think, there are a lot of audience questions also. So Malu, will be great for you to kind of, take this conversation further now.
Thanks, Siddharth. Is that the first time you're so formal to your mom, I wonder?
Nobody always calls me ma'am in front of a formal gathering. Both Nishka and Siddharth will always, you'll find them calling me ma'am.
Okay.
That's because she's very intimidating. So
we'll let that pass.
In fact, I must share this. When I was teaching at SNDT and Nishka was a student. So after my class, every time, because my class used to be a coordination class where you had to dress up in a particular way, you had to always wear these 3 inches heels and walk the talk. So every time after my class, she would come out of the class and say, "Ma'am, will you please carry my shoes home?" So, yeah.
Thanks, Siddharth. Before we get into the Q&A, there are lots of them, Neeta. I'm sure we're all kind of curious to know more about you as a person. Siddharth did touch upon it, but not too much. And we thought the best way of doing it is to quiz Siddharth instead of asking you.
Oh my God.
Siddharth, this is a rapid fire. And the thing is, how well do you know your mom? Okay, so you've got to answer very quickly. Okay?
Siddharth, you better answer good ones.
Yes, if he's wrong, you let us know, Neeta.
He has to come home finally.
Your mom's favorite color, Siddharth?
Black.
Crush.
Sorry?
Your mom's celebrity crush.
Celebrity crush. So I don't know the name of the person, but in Sex and the City, the main guy is her crush.
Okay.
Mr. Big.
Mr. Big. Okay.
Is that right?
Is it right, Neeta?
But more Frida Kahlo. And Meryl Streep. So there he's got it a little bit wrong.
Okay. I shouldn't have asked you. Anyways, Malu, please continue.
What was her dream job as a child?
I think ever since she's...
one word,
so honestly,
one word, Siddharth.
Till she knew it was a job, but it's definitely what she's doing. This is her dream job.
What is the shoe size?
It's a UK 8 or UK 7, depending on the brand.
Wow.
What's her favorite perfume? Wow.
Mario, your voice is breaking. Could you repeat that?
What's her favorite perfume?
So she's got a couple of them, but from what I recollect, I think it's Givenchy.
Yeah.
No, that's wrong. Angel Tirimugla.
Okay.
Okay, her favorite food and the least favorite food.
She loves Italian.
Okay.
That's her favorite. And least favorite, I honestly don't know. I think she likes to try everything,
Yeah.
but least favorite, I'm not really sure of.
Okay. Does she know how to ride a bike?
No, like a bike she used to ride, but not a motorbike.
Okay. What is her favorite moment in her entire life? Or the happiest moment in her entire life so far?
I would definitely say when Nishka and we were born, but unless she has something else.
When Miraya was born.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. You want some more, Siddharth, or you're done? I have many more.
Well, totally. Okay, great. I think this is good. I hope I did decently well.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddharth, for being a sport. And I think we got a sneak preview of Neeta's personal life. We have many more to know about you, but I think we'll stop here. There are lots of questions, Neeta, and I'm going to start off with Divya Seth.
Hi, Divya. I can't hear her.
Okay, we'll come back to her. Manat Kothari, chairperson of Ludhiana.
Manat?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yes. Hi, this is Divya Sheth.
Hi, Divya.
Thank you so much, Neeta, for the informative session. I just wanted to know about the role and mode of advertising in such challenging times, budget being a constraint.
Instagram, Facebook. Just get onto it. Like I told you, I didn't know how to do it myself. So I started taking lessons in social media marketing and learned how to create a template, learned how to create a font for myself and the colors that I should be using. Of course, Siddharth helped me a little bit on that as well. But that's how you should go forward, and you have all the time on hand. The best way is to connect with your audience through your social media handles.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Manat?
Yes, good evening, ma'am. You're one of our
Hi,
favorite
Manat.
designers. Can you
Thank
hear
you
me?
so much.
Yeah. You are India's most elite designer and a dream mentor to many aspiring designers. So my question to you is, who was your inspiration or who did you have as your mentor?
So, Manat, are you there?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay, because suddenly there was some disturbance.
Yeah.
My mentor was Hemant Trivedi in college. And, the first time that I realized my sensibilities was when I picked up a fabric, all of 50 rupees, bandhani fabric, and I wanted to make pants out of it. And dhoti pants, like zouaf pants. These are very differently cut. They're not Indian shalwars or dhotis. And wanted to team it with a corseted backless choli. So everybody in class and my professors and all couldn't fathom. They said, you're going to use bandhani with this. But Hemant helped me. He said, you go ahead and do what you're doing because it's a very new and innovative concept. Make it. I'm there to guide you and help you. And he realized my potential of being able to groom people. So he he explained to me how makeup was done and helped me help him during our fashion shows to do makeup on the various students. Therefore, a large part of my coordination, styling techniques, and the sensibilities and philosophy of my design essence comes from the guidance that Hemant Trivedi gave me at that point in time. Then I went on to learning, working with Jeannie Naroji, who was the goddess of choreography, fashion choreography. And she I was working for her for almost 21 shows. She had let me assist her with those shows. I used to model in those shows. I used to coordinate the clothes that we had to use of the various brands. Work on what would look good on the model, what would not, in terms of the color schemes, color code things. So I learned a lot about color sensibilities from her as well. And, understanding visualization came from her. Therefore, I've had these two very, very big mentors in my life. And another person I must talk about, who without whom my career would not have got the kind of sensibility that I have, is Sri Devi. Because, I'll give you a small incident. I was making a white outfit for her for the Juma Chuma shows they were traveling for. And she said it was the Tandav that they had performed in Chandni. So the same outfit had to be made. And I made it with a white chiffon covering to a pure white sequin lining. And in the blouse, I added like a pure white butter crepe, and I added chiffon on top. During the shows and the lighting, you could not make out. But when she came back, she said, you need to understand that 3 different whites are going to create mayhem in an outfit. The whites that you use have to be identical on an outfit. Otherwise, the colors will completely go wrong and off. And her color sensibilities on the kind of colors, we didn't have Pantones, we didn't have color shade cards at that point in time. So she would take references. She would say, the peach fruit, not the lighter color, not the darker color, but the middle color. And that's how we used to achieve colors. So when I use color scheming for my films, the sensibility of what will go with the background, what is the kind of color I should be using, comes predominantly from what I learned from her. So I've had great mentors in my life.
Thank you. Lubena?
Hi, Lubena.
Hi, Neeta. My question is about body positivity. I mean, you've been in the film industry long enough, and you've seen clothing brands are now kind of shaping even their mannequins to be more curvy.
Yeah.
I've seen that with athleisure brands and Nike and things like that. I'm just wondering that, do you see the shift in the couture space as well? Is there a dialogue about it? Because, I wouldn't know.
Absolutely. In fact, when people look at clothes on the show, when they used to look at clothes on the show, a lot of people would say, "Oh, these are only for models. We can't wear it."
Yeah.
But when you are doing bespoke and you're doing couture, you're adhering to the requirement and the structure of your consumer or your client.
Yeah.
And therefore, very essential that you be able to design and be able to give a cut that will accentuate the figure of the client you're designing for. Mm-hmm. Therefore, couture is the space where I think this started back in 1930, back in 1918 from Paul Poiret, when he started working couture garments for his clients, for the women who used to wear his clothes. So definitely it is there, and it has transcended even up to date. So couture has always done that and will always do that, because you're dealing with a client's need and requirement, and it is bespoke.
Yeah, but it's really nice to see that it's even going to the mass and the super fast fashion area as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's heartening to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it has translated from couture into mass, and that's a fantastic step where people are now realizing that, it doesn't matter as long as you are confident wearing what you would like to wear, and you can carry it off with a great deal of style.
Neeta, I have one more question though. We're talking about sustainability, and this is more for young fashion startups and people going into the fashion space. We're talking about fashion and sustainability, but so what happens to revenue? I mean, maybe Siddharth can come in as well. So
is he there?
This also kind of hits your bottom line, your revenue. So what happens there? What's the
Siddharth, are you there?
You're on mute.
Is Siddharth there? Can you see him?
Yeah. Because
Hi.
we're all saying sustainable fashion, reuse your clothes, and everybody's wondering, ठीक है, revenue तो hit नहीं हो जाएगा. What's going to happen to that? Just your take.
So to be honest with you, when it comes to sustainability and the fact that the revenue will be hit, that is really true when it comes to brands which are mass premium in nature. So if you have a fast fashion brand which is sub 5,000, in that case it becomes very difficult to use sustainable fabrics, because sustainable fabrics by virtue are 40 to 50% more expensive than normal brands. But when it comes to high-end couture brands, like let's say ours, so we are already using a lot of fabrics like silks. We use georgettes which have a polyester base, which are probably non-sustainable. But then moving towards sustainability in our case, when it comes to, so there are 2 points to it. One is when it comes to our fabric, our products, the fabric cost is a very small component of the overall cost. Our main components are embroidery, our handwork, the labor that goes in this, the quality of stitching. So there's not such an increase in the price of our garments. And secondly, also, there are a lot of sustainable man-made fibers coming out now. But let's say what a Birla Cellulose does, or what a brand like Lensing does, which are at par in terms of pricing with, a fabric which is non-sustainable. So moving forward, I do see a lot of shift happening on this front. The other aspect also is on the aspect of, let's say, packaging. In that case, again, while normal plastic, which is polluting in nature, is cheap, but we're also seeing a lot of sustainable forms of plastic coming in, where the price right now, 2 years back, it should be 3 times. Today the price is 30% more, and as economies hit in, the price will be at par in terms of what we're already purchasing. So I think there is going to be a consumer which will be more conscious. There are going to be brands which are going to adopt with the consumer. And I think as economies hit, the pricing will improve and the bottom line will stay constant.
All right. Thanks, Siddharth. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And also when it comes to sustainability, I guess it needs a lot of awareness amongst the customers, I guess.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Amina, are you there?
There's something wrong with the audio.
Malu, you're coming in broken, Malu.
Who's mine? Tamina, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, please.
Hi. Yeah, hi, Neeta.
Yeah,
Hello. My
hi,
question
how are
is,
you?
Neeta,
Yeah,
do you feel physical stores will witness much lower footfall for a long time to come, or perhaps even be rendered useless?
As far as ready-to-wear is concerned, as far as fast fashion is concerned, as far as basics are concerned, like classics in ready-to-wear segment, online is going to be huge. So I don't see a lot of physical store requirements there. But as far as bridals and couture are concerned, we are a country, we like to touch and feel. So every time you go into a store as well, even if you don't want to buy the fabric or the outfit, you'll touch it and feel as if it's, बहुत प्यार से, like it's talking to you. So that touch and feel is important in a couture segment, and especially when you're buying a particular price point where you want to see it, you want to try it, you want to wear it, and you want to see how it looks on you. Even if you've seen the photograph, it doesn't matter. And when it is an outfit of such a big price point, you also make an event out of going to that store. You'll make it as an outing. Yeah, chalo, we go visit the store and then we go out for lunch. So it becomes a social and an area where you want to go and see something of a commercial value. So in that aspect, and meeting with the designer, consulting, understanding your needs, understanding what the designer has to say. So bridal and couture will need the brick and mortar format for a long time to come.
Thank you, Neeta.
Thanks, Tamina. Hina Javeri. Hina, can you mute yourself? Sorry, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Thank you. So, hi, Neeta. Thank you. Wonderful session, and so many questions were answered.
Thank you.
But I would also like to say, you have started long before, and you would have faced challenges then also. So how different are they? I mean, than now to then when you started?
The main challenge was manpower. You see, and we went with the flow of things because at the time when I started my work, I was my designer, I was my fabric merchandiser, I was my jhadu wala, I was my accountant, I was everything possible.
Wow.
You know, so you were in the element of multitasking. In fact, for the first time ever that I had assistance on a film was in Devdas. Up till then, I had already finished about 200 films, 175, 200 films on my own without having any assistance. But it was easier because, yes, we didn't have constant phones. We didn't have so much of distraction of various other things and social media and this and that and everything. That at that point in time, I think facilitated what we were doing, you know. And today, with all the advents of all these things, this is something that is a big help. Your social media, you're having assistance, everything is a big help. But the challenge is to channelize them in the correct manner. To be able to create the right look, you need to be able to communicate to your assistants to get the correct output. You need to have the right people working with you. And everything is systematized, everything is niched out. So there is a stylist who will style your garments. There is a merchandiser who will buy your fabrics. Sometimes what happens is I'm so hands-on because of my experiences that sometimes I say, okay, main kar leti hu, you know, before I can explain it to you, I'd rather finish it off. Even to the fact that when my master is doing a cut, before I can explain it to him, I'll cut it myself and give it to him. Or drape a garment and give it to him. So I guess that is something that taught me a lot. So every aspect of your life and every time you move ahead with the times, the time teaches you different things. And I feel previously when I started work back in 86, it taught me multitasking. It taught me a lot of hands-on work. It gave me a lot of experience to be able to reach where I am. Today, it has given me, the ability to be patient with what I need to do, to understand a different mindset, to understand what the need of the hour is from a younger generation, because you're working with them. And, you know, there are different learnings that you get in life. So every area of your life, aspect of your life, as you move on. And like I say, every day is a learning experience and you learn something new every day. So you just progress.
Yes. Thank you. Wonderful. And one more question. Who's your favorite, actor, actress that you love to design for? Like your favorite?
Who's your favorite child?
Can't decide. Yes.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Because you treat them like your children. You treat a film like your child, you know, and then it's very difficult. But I must say this to you, that as I progressed on my work, every time I have felt ki, Neeta, Lulla, this was your best ever and you can't, surpass this quality of work. Upperwala has given me one better aspect to work on, which has challenged my creativity to bring out something new and different. And I've seen that graph from Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam to Devdas to Khuda Gawah to Jodha Akbar to Hollywood films that I've done to today when I'm working after Panipat, I'm working on Thalaivi for Kangana's in Thalaivi playing. It's a biopic of Jaya Lalita ji. I thought it would be a cakewalk, but to be able to create the techniques and the technology of her looking the part is so challenging that I could have done maybe 2 big films in that. Wow. It's that challenging.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that I keep getting challenged from the guy up there. So
yeah. Thank you so much.
That was very diplomatically answered. Since you spoke about Thalaivi, while designing costumes for movies, how do you do your research and how long does it normally take? That's one of the questions that's come up.
It takes about 8 months from reading the script at least 2 to 3 times to creating a character in your head, living with it, sketching it, looking at what are the nuances that you can put into a character by a lot of research in and around you. And I'll come to this, I'll explain this to you in depth. To fabrics, to designing it on paper, to fabrication, to creating a fabric that if you want to create, and then actually putting a technique behind it to create the look. Now, in this aspect, the actor that you bring in comes a little later in the stage of research, because it's a character you're working on. It's a pre-decided character that you're working with. So once you've done with the look, then you look at the character, the actor who's playing the character, and look at the comfort. Can this actor carry out this outfit comfortably, and can they emote? Because you don't want an actor wearing an outfit that they're not comfortable in, because they will not emote their best.
Correct.
But coming back to the research, like for Devdas, when I was working on the film, we actually went to Calcutta, and we met up with a lot of families within that income strata. And, going to the houses, looking at the way they served you pani or they served you khana, how the fingers would be or the plate would be held. It gave me a lot of insight on how I could bring about a look of Paro, or somebody talking and playing with the hair. So I could add those things into my conceptualization of the character. And because she's playing with the hair, I decided that, okay, I want some beautiful trinkets that they could show, because the trinkets would show because she's playing with the hair. So you're using that. So these kind of details are what you really go into in depth. And yes, the entire process takes about 8 to 9 months.
Okay. I think we're running out of time, and I know how important time management is for you, but would you be okay to answer 1 or 2 more questions, Neeta? Thank you.
Yes.
Samira Shah.
Hi, Malu. And
Hi, Samira.
So, I have 2 quick questions for you. One definitely is, being in this world where glitz and glamour and fashion weeks are something that is the most looked forward, along with just looking at shopping and buying clothes for women. So how do you think, what is the way forward, and, what's the future of all of this coming up? And my second question is, you've been amazingly creative, very, very beautiful collections that you put up, bought into this entire world at large. So what does it take to really be innovative and to take that level of risk? What goes in? Because I'm sure I do have a couple of my young designing students also hearing you right now. So I'm sure I want them to know that how, Neeta Lulla does such beautiful, out of the box and wonderful creations.
So you have 2 questions, and your first part of the question, I'll answer half, and I would like Siddharth to answer the other half. Yes, because of the proximity issues now, I don't think we will be looking at very many fashion shows to happen. However, a lot of people I know, like Lakme, is looking in at a digital fashion show, a digital format of portraying clothes. So you will be looking at very innovative fashion shows and fashion weeks happening. Designers are going to not only create looks which you will see on models, but you'll see more organic looks that are happening, whether you see it on a hanger, on a mannequin, or whether you see sketches. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of young talent has gone into digital sketching, and you're seeing some amazing digital illustrations on Instagram as well, and they're very beautiful, and it's a delight to see them. So you'll be seeing a new advent of this happening on your social media. So I think social media is going to be the way forward. However, if you're out there and you're creating this, fashion shows would be virtual. The world is getting virtual. So as far as I'm concerned, this is what my take on this is. And I would like Siddharth to share what he thinks about this as well.
So I think that there are 2 aspects to this question. One is from the way things are moving in fashion. Yes, we do see that fashion shows being in an open avenue, will take time to come back. And yes, eventually they definitely would have to come back, because the kind of experience, the kind of feel that is there, essentially for fashion, the touch and feel, what people may say is very important. But at least for the near future, we are seeing fashion shows, becoming virtual. But the other thing which is going to be a reality is the entire work from home culture. That is something which, was something that we were expecting to happen, at least the company that I work with, which is a consulting firm. And this is something which has been expedited, so while some things like a manufacturing will have to happen in the real presence of a person, but, we do see that this entire work from home culture is going to come up, definitely an online medium of selling is going to pick up. You'll have your retail stores also, which eventually would pick up, but online selling is going to happen. So what this really necessitates is that, one is, ensure that, as a fashion student, you learn different skill sets or different, there are new fields going to open up, which are important for you as a designer, which are more digital nature. So for example, let's say if it's, designing using an iPad where the sketches can be sent, or trying to understand what are the different colors that would work well if you're using a digital platform, creating an experience. So if I've understood the question correctly, I would say that offline shows would come up, but at the same time, online is a new reality, work from home is a new reality, and there are a lot of different fields that are going to open up for fashion students. They could look at different jobs, not just making clothes. But you need to be abreast with the kind of requirement that is there, which may not necessarily be taught by a lot of fashion schools currently.
Yeah,
Did that answer your
amazing.
question correctly? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
coming
Yeah,
to your
thanks,
second
Siddharth.
question,
Yeah,
Sec-
Neeta and Siddharth, you did give a very good insight on the fact that yes, virtual shows and everything would be coming up. But the point does remain that, we all being out there, love to be amongst, socializing and being in that world of glitz and glamour where there's so much fun on, watching being there, right, watching the ramp live. So
But
I'm sure
that
we're all
is
going to
the-
miss that part of it. And that was one of the
But,
points that I was making.
that is the change of perception. And the point that we are making is that the change of perception has to be creating the paradigm shift in your thought process for now.
True.
Creating, understanding the need of the hour and understanding the limitations that we have.
Yes.
So coming to your second question about what inspires me to create these designs and collections, I, as a person, am a student every day. Every minute of my life, I've regarded myself as a student. And, as design students and aspirants, you learn the foundations in college. You understand your sensibility and philosophy in college. Therefore, when I spoke earlier about using Indian fabric, bandhani fabric to create a Western cut of an outfit, my philosophy stems then and there. So my design aesthetics has always remained Edwardian cuts, Renaissance power dressing and colors, and Indian at heart. So that stemmed and there. But inspirations change. So I could use an inspiration looking at a tree. It would inspire me. Like I did a collection back in 2007 on female feticide, because I heard the news about, they found a small baby fetus in Warsaw. That inspired me to create that collection and to create a voice towards female feticide. A collection of paintings that I did on immortal love, that inspired me to create. So you have to stay observant of around your surroundings. You never know what's going to inspire you.
Right.
But stay inspired and just create something that, even if you think it's wrong, it's okay, because you will learn from that. It's always learning. And life is all about learning and moving forward and creating something new from that learning.
Thank you, Neeta, for saying this. I'm sure, you're that one single statement also saying that you've always been a student. I'm sure that's what's making you the best teacher, because someone who can be a student for life is someone who can be the best mentor and the best teacher. And I'm sure many are actually looking up to you. Thank you for your answers. Thanks, Siddharth, and thanks, Neeta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. For want of time, I guess we need to wrap up. That was a beautiful perception about the times to come. So I'm going to hand over to Lubena to wrap up the session, please.
Hi, it's back. It's me, Lubina. It is my absolute honor to deliver the formal vote of thanks. I would like to start by thanking Neeta for spending this time with us this evening and answering all our questions so patiently. You're not only Bollywood's favorite designer, but also a huge role model to all of us here. Thank you, Siddharth, for stepping in so effortlessly and giving us the opportunity to get to know ma'am better. This has been an engaging conversation, not only on sustainability, fashion, the way forward, but also on Neeta's entrepreneurship journey. Thank you very much. Thank you all, to all our members. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
Yes.
And just stay inspired.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Have a
Bye.
wonderful weekend. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.